Welcome back to Deep South EDC. This is episode 19, and we should have a great show for everybody tonight. We're going to be covering a couple of different things right now. We got some interesting gun buyback news. Also, the mayor of New Orleans, Mayor Cantrell, is finally being criminally indicted. So that's exciting. I'm excited about that. It's about time, actually. We tried to get her recalled a few years ago, and the recall efforts kind of fell short. So that was a little disappointing there. Also, the governor of New Mexico, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, she is issuing another state of emergency around the town of Espanola. And because of that, I suspect there may be some more National Guard being deployed in the state, but we'll see about that. Anyway, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining me here tonight. Let's just get into it. So the first story we have: City of Chicago sued over gun taken during buyback. A Chicago woman is suing the city's police department, alleging that it helped to arm a teenager who shot her 2 years ago. Twanda Willingham was shot in the leg with a Glock 21 pistol in August of last year, about 8 months after the gun was handed over to the Chicago Police Department during a quote-unquote buyback event at St. Sabrina Church. As Fox 32 reports, the weapon disappeared while in transit between the church and a nearby police station, just blocks away. It was not recovered until November 24th, when ballistics testing linked it to Willingham's shooting and at least 2 others. Authorities later found the gun in possession of a 16-year-old boy. Despite what Fox 32 reported, the lawsuit doesn't claim that the Glock's disappearance, quote, in transit, that the Glock disappeared, quote, in transit. It contends that the gun was taken by an officer after it arrived at the district station. CPD officers are also not immune to the allure of Glock pistols, the lawsuit said. CPD officers assigned to work the turn-in event at St. Sabrina remarked how good the Glock 21 pistol looked. CPD officers who were not working the buyback event at St. Sabrina showed up at the tactical team office to get a look at the Glock 21. Willingham's lawsuit says an officer or officers took the gun from the station and sold it or gave it to someone. Willingham names Sergeant Robert Brown, who oversaw the buyback event, and other unknown police officers as defendants alongside the city of Chicago. The defendants tried to cover up the gun theft, according to the suit. A tag identifying the Glock had been slipped onto another gun, and an envelope for that gun was later found in the trash. The lawsuit notes that the name of Officer Crystal Riviera was placed on those inventory records, even though she had nothing to do with the recovery of the guns, in an attempt to make it more difficult to track the Glock 21 pistol's disappearance and hinder recovery efforts. Rivera was later shot and killed on June 5th by her partner, Officer Carlos Baker, another member of Gresham District Tactical Team, in what the police department has said was a friendly fire accident. As the Chicago Sun-Times reports, Rivera's family has been demanding an independent investigation into her death because they don't believe the official account from police and prosecutors, who maintain that Baker accidentally shot Rivera while she was facing away from him, as have said Baker accidentally shot Rivera in the back while pursuing an armed suspect. The lawsuit doesn't accuse Baker or any other officer of murdering Rivera to help cover up the theft of the Glock, but Willingham's legal team does contend that the Glock was stolen by unknown officers and sold on the street after steps were taken to cover their tracks. Damn, this is crazy. Brown, who was in charge of the buyback, received a 1-day suspension for failure to adequately secure and care for department property. But a criminal investigation into how the gun ended up in the hands of the teen was closed without any charges being filed. The Sun-Times reports that an internal affairs investigation was shut down as well, but was reopened after the paper published a story about the disappearance of the Glock. As for the teen who was caught with the gun, he pled guilty to illegally possessing a firearm earlier this year, but hasn't said how he got the pistol or who gave it or sold it to him. The Chicago Police Department, meanwhile, has continued to hold these confiscation events throughout the city, including 2 buybacks that took place at the end of May. This is yet another reason why gun buybacks are such a bad idea. There's no evidence whatsoever that they reduce violent crime, accidents involving firearms, or gun-related suicide. They do, however, provide crooked cops with the opportunity to pick up a new gun using a 5-finger discount, either to keep for themselves or to sell on the street. I'd say that Willingham has a pretty good case to make that the CPD bears at least some responsibility for her being shot with a gun that was supposed to be under its control, and given the lengths that the department has gone to avoid investigating the actions that led to the gun's disappearance, her lawsuit may be the only way to find out what actually happened in the Gresham District Station on that cold December day in 2023. All right, there's an editor's note here that says the city of Chicago is suing Glock and trying to get their band's gun from the sale in the state of Illinois, when it should be digging into how the pistol disappeared from police custody. The story is absolutely crazy. So the buyback was at a church blocks away from the police station. Apparently it looked real nice. Glock 21. All these cops were checking it out. Must have been a banger. Somebody took it. They probably took like a Taurus or something, put the Glock tag on it, and threw away the other paperwork that they found in the trash, which is stupid. It's going to be found if it's in the trash. And then the inventory officer whose name was on there, that somebody put on there, even though she didn't work there, was killed by her partner in a friendly fire incident. And is that a coincidence, or, were they trying to further cover this up because she was already saying like, what? I had nothing to do with that. The story is wild, guys. CPD officers are not immune to the allure of Glock pistols, the lawsuit says. I mean, Glocks are nice. I own one. That's my everyday carry pistol. But gun buybacks in general, in my opinion, are dumb. They don't work for the goal that, is intended. Most of the time you have like family heirlooms or antiques that end up getting destroyed, or one of a kind pieces that, a collector or a gun store owner or something like that would be happy to take off your hands. All right. This is our first live, well-regulated podcast. We got a couple of people watching. Got Neil McKenzie in the chat. Good to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out. All right. So in my old city of New Orleans, this guy JD, he runs his own gun buybacks, but he does his a little bit different. So he's not really affiliated with the city. This is his own thing. And what he does is he trades guns for video game consoles. So he's he's trying to help the community and the children and stuff and kind of get him out of that like street life. He's done real good in the community. But this is his gun buyback. I still don't agree with his gun buyback, trading guns for video games. We should just find a way to maybe get those video games and the esports centers and stuff to the kids without needing to trade something for it. That's just my opinion though. So he says quality over quantity here. So it looks like we got a AR style rifle with no sights. We have we have a pink Taurus. We have I don't know, this looks like a 380 of some sort. And we have a couple of those man, those guns are so cheap I don't even remember the name of them. You guys know what I'm talking about though. High point. Those are high points. So a couple of high points. Maybe this one's a Ruger, it kind of looks like, maybe a Security 9 or something like that. And then you got the skinny barrel over here. It could be a pellet gun, it could be a 22. So he says quality over quantity. So it looks like they got about 7 guns back on that buyback, and he gave away some video game consoles and stuff. But what happens to these guns though? You know what I mean? Are they destroyed? Let's see. I have plenty of inventory left. So this wasn't even a very good gun buyback. I saw his post before. Let's see. Let's go to his stuff. He had he picked up like a whole pallet of video game consoles for the gun buyback. I guess it's not up here. Or maybe it's an old one. But anyway, the turnout for that was really weak. And he had like a tiered like sort of situation. It was like, an assault rifle gets you like a PS5, and like just a handgun gets you like a gift card or something. I don't know. Okay, here we go. So he picked up all these PS5s, all these Nintendo Switches, because he was setting it up. So let's see, here we go. We set up a tiered system that allowed for one person to be able to trade in multiple firearms and get multiple items. So in theory, if you came with a chopper, a 9mm, and a high point, you could come away with the PlayStation VR headset and an extra controller. We wanted to be able to give more away and be able to make space for people at different levels. A 9mm and a high point? Come on, man. Come on. Come on, bro. High points come in 9mm. Anyway, that's about it for the gun buybacks. They're all a scam. You had during the height of the Ukraine war, these retards were trying to do gun buybacks to send weapons to Ukraine. You know what that is? That's weapons trafficking. You can't do that. And what were you going to send them anyway? Like grandpa's old, like Lee Enfield? Like, come on. What, seriously? Although they were pretty much using like old rifles like that over there. Anyway. All right. All right. Let's get out of these two. Let's see what we got queued up next. All right. So New Orleans has a pretty good habit of just letting people escape jail. So we've had 10 people escape during that one big jailbreak. You know what I mean? And they've caught all but one. So my man, Antoine Massey, who my money was on being the last person standing, he got caught. He was still in New Orleans. I know some people over there who know some people who saw the thing go down. So you know, that's what happens. He was all over that social media, you know, so anyway. Let's get into it. More New Orleans incompetence, man. Orleans Parish Sheriff fires 2, suspends 5 others after inmate mistakenly released from jail. So we'll check this out. They got a video up on this one, which is good because it'll save my voice a minute. And let's check it out. I gotta actually, you'll see, I have a couple of similar stories that read the same in the title, but it actually happened just weeks apart. So let's check it out.
Into the newsroom. 2 OPSO deputies have been fired, 5 deputies suspended, and a new timeline publicized from the sheriff's office about the mistaken release of Khalil Bryan on July 25th.
WDSU investigator Aubrey Killian live in studio breaking down every part of that timeline and what the sheriff's office says went wrong here. Aubrey.
Hey, Gina, so a lot went wrong here, and we're getting a lot of new details. So OPSO just released the details. They say on July 6th, Bryan was mistakenly released due to a breach in protocols. Let's get straight to this timeline. 1:17
breach in
a.m.
protocol.
We're told he was mistakenly released from 1B housing unit. Then 5 a.m. a count does take place. 7 a.m. roll call happens. 11:10 a.m. OPSO records show in conjunction with their partners they realize that error. 11:36 a.m. OPSO begins the investigation to locate him. 12:45 p.m. OPSO begins informing criminal justice stakeholders and the victim. 3:45 p.m. the public.
I just want everybody to know that he said criminal justice stakeholders. That's just something I want everybody to pay attention in like regular life. And just kind of figure out what that kind of means on your own. And you'll kind of come to realize that this world isn't exactly what it is on the surface. Anyway, let's keep going.
3:45 p.m. the public is notified. So you might be wondering, why did it take until 3:45 p.m.? Well, before issuing a public notification, OPSO says their first step was to begin the apprehension efforts at addresses to avoid startling Bryan and jeopardizing the search. I did just reach out to OPSO and ask directly, when did the sheriff find out that this happened? We are still waiting, but Solo, we're going to stay on top of this, and Gina, I'll keep you posted all throughout the show.
Yeah, some new revelations there. Thank you so much, Aubrey, for that. So we're combing through this timeline for you. You can see the full timeline and an exclusive interview with the man Khalil Bryan was mistaken with on our website, WDSU.com. The National Transportation Safety.
All right. This is a case of mistaken identity, so they didn't let anybody know about it. Sorry. Case of mistaken identity. So they still don't know when the sheriff found out. They didn't let the public know. Look, here's the timeline. 1:17 a.m. So he was out of jail for over 12 hours. That's about 14 hours, 14 and a half hours. Again, before they let the public know. This is crazy. This incident reflects a failure in execution, and we are taking full accountability, said Hudson in an issued statement. The people of New Orleans deserve a jail that operates with precision and professionalism. I want the public to know that this office takes its obligations seriously, and we are responding with the urgency and transparency that this matter demands. Yeah, right, dude. This lady is so full of shit. She was full of shit the last time when the 10 people escaped. She's full of shit now, and she's going to be full of shit on the next story. I will show you probably. I haven't exactly read it all the way through. This was an avoidable breach of protocol. We have taken decisive actions. The changes we're making will now strengthen our system and reinforce the standards our staff is expected to meet. Bro, nothing's going to change. Show us. Give us some action. All you do is just talk words hours after the guy has escaped. It's fucking crazy. Here we go. Man remains in custody for 21 hours after Orleans jail releases wrong inmate. Ugh. Fox 8 investigation reveals a man sat in jail for 21 hours last week after he was supposed to be released from jail. The wrong person got out of jail, said Montreal Carmore. I'm not even going to try. Who works at Operation Restoration, a nonprofit with a bail fund for incarcerated people. Our sources tell us the man was supposed to be released from jail around 1:15 a.m. Instead, the sheriff's office released Khalil Bryan, a man 5 inches taller, 180 pounds heavier, and 10 years older than the nonprofit's client. It's one thing being there because you didn't have the ability to pay, but it's somebody, if somebody raised the money and felt that your freedom was important enough to post your bond to get you out, and the inadequacy of other people should not have kept you in jail. The client's mother called around 9 a.m. Friday, concerned she hadn't heard from her son. It was about 12:30, and the request was for us to come down and fill out a new bond form because the wrong person had been released. All right, maybe it wasn't two different stories, and they're just, maybe I'm just thinking that, it was more than one. Anyway, we got another one. This one is from
The Phoenix
Fox
will
8,
rise.
And, sorry. The Phoenix will rise, apparently, but we could skip that.
I'm Lauren McCoy. And I'm Meg Gatto. New Orleans law enforcement actively search for a man they say was mistakenly released from the Orleans jail.
Tonight, as Gabby Killett reports, there are questions about how this happened.
Yes, Lauren, Meg, Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson is taking full responsibility for what she calls a clerical error, leading to the release of 30-year-old Khalil Bryan. But Hudson wouldn't tell us what time today that Bryan was let out of the jail. Hudson joined NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick at a press conference this afternoon where she did provide that the error came from confusing two inmates with similar last names. She says the sheriff's office is investigating and that those who made the error will be held accountable. She adds that a victim has also been notified.
While our systems are designed to catch these discrepancies, human error led to a breakdown in the verification process. We thank the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, all of our partners on the task force for their assistance
Just
in
a
getting
breakdown.
him back into custody, and we do look forward to having that happen soon.
And Kirkpatrick
No
laid
shit.
out Bryan's criminal history today. He is most recently wanted on a warrant out of Orleans Parish alleging aggravated assault with a weapon. He was also previously arrested for aggravated burglary, aggravated assault, again, aggravated criminal damage to property, as well as drug and guns charges. Many of those charges come out of Jefferson Parish. And the NOPD tells us its specialized squad is now looking for Bryan. He's the latest inmate marked as a fugitive, while escaped inmate Derrick Groves remains on the run after 10 men broke out of the Orleans Justice Center May 6th.
Well, Tigers is.
There you go. It's just crazy. It just boggles the mind. It was just a clerical error. The sheriff takes full responsibility. Did she not take responsibility the last time the 10 escaped, or any other time something fucked up at her fucked up jail happens? Got people starving in there. They shut off the water. They're fucking with all the people in there. But then at the same time, like, you guys could just go, right? You guys could just go. Man, it's wild. All right, guys. I've been bitching about the mayor of New Orleans for years now. For years, I've been talking to you guys about this criminal. Essentially, she's a criminal. We had Ray Nagin, mayor of New Orleans, criminal. We had Mayor Mitch Landrieu. Now, he was never convicted of anything, but he did work for the Biden administration, so he's probably a criminal. And now we have LaToya Cantrell, who I've been saying for years is a criminal. So as soon as this ad rolls, we're going to check this out. But New Orleans mayor indicted on multiple felony charges, including conspiracy, wire fraud. Now, this is serious shit that she's in right now. This is federal charges. So let's see what we got.
indictment further describes the many steps that Cantrell and Vappy took to hide their scheme.
A romantic relationship alleged in a 48-page federal indictment implicating New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell and former bodyguard Jeffrey Vappy with felony charges.
And moments ago, the city just responded to the indictment saying they are aware of the charges. They say the mayor is charged with at least a dozen felony crimes, including conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction of justice. We have live team coverage tonight. Let's start things off with investigative reporter Aubrey Killian, who breaks down what's in the indictment. Aubrey.
Hey there, Travers. So here at federal
I thought Aubrey was one of the ladies, honestly.
court, I spoke with a lot of legal experts. They say prison time is likely. In this indictment are the alleged actions of Mayor Cantrell and her ex-bodyguard Jeffrey Vappy. She could face prison time.
For lying to the grand jury, it could be as high as 3 years.
Potentially 3 years in prison.
Correct.
Prosecutors allege Cantrell and Vappy developed a personal and intimate relationship. It's alleged that Cantrell and Vappy exploited their public positions to develop and implement a scheme.
It's pretty salacious stuff, but I think the government does it because they want the public to understand what this case is really about.
Prosecutors say they did this by using an encrypted messaging platform, intimidating and punishing subordinates, lying to colleagues, deleting evidence, and testifying falsely.
No, I would say this is a cliche, but it's always the cover-up, not the crime. When I read that indictment today, unlike the initial one against Officer Vappy, there was just so many allegations of what she did to try to hide what she was doing.
The documents allege Cantrell sent Vappy the following images. There's this picture that prosecutors say surfaced at a winery in California. When asked about it, Cantrell instructed the associate to not contact my staff. In September of 2022, Cantrell canceled a trip to Miami where she was scheduled to attend the fall leadership meeting of the United States Conference of Mayors. Cantrell booked a personal trip in which she traveled alone from New Orleans to Martha's Vineyard. While Vappy was in Martha's Vineyard, this conversation apparently happened. Vappy allegedly writing, "Hey baby, I'm going with the guys." Cantrell allegedly writing, "Let me know about where for lunch to make sure I'm out of sight."
If she had just stopped and put her hands up and said, "You know what, I made a mistake," none of this would have happened. It's the doubling down, it's the attempts to hide it that seem to be, the most problematic as a person, and certainly something.
Yeah, that'd be because she's guilty.
So it's important to note after today's indictment, this is not a conviction. Mayor Cantrell will then go to an arraignment. From there, she will enter a plea. Reporting live, I'm Aubrey Killian.
All right, so it's time to plea, Cantrell. Ooh, let's see. It's just about her and her bodyguard that she was in a relationship with. Reaction from city leaders, what happens next. She's in her final year of office, which is true. It could be years before, the trial goes down. Like we saw with Ray Nagin, it was many years before. And he served his sentence. He's out now. I don't know. Lock them both up. She was like terrorizing people, putting out restraining orders on people who recorded her in public, saying that they were stalking her. Honestly, she's already missed some event she was supposed to be at after this indictment came out. So I think she's going to be laying low for a while. I think that she's going to stop doing her job, or, stop appearing like she's doing her job, because she never really did a job anyway, besides spend taxpayer money. I expect city services to get worse than they already are. We've already seen some stuff with the French Quarter, and something as simple as fucking trash pickup. Crime will get worse, but you know what? Crime is already so fucking high over there that nobody's going to notice. Nobody's going to notice. Yeah, city services will go down. Just expect it. If you can tell over there, if you can even tell. Yeah, New Orleans is a shithole. New Orleans has a shit mayor, a shit attorney general, a shit city council. You have city councilors right now running for mayor to see who gets to be the next Cantrell, who gets to pocket all the money. And you have all these local influencers and local people campaigning for them, all happy, like it's like something's going to fucking change. It's not. They're all still Democrats. You're all still voting for exclusively Democrats. And you're just voting for who's going to steal from the city this time. That's all it is. That's all it is. Nothing will change there. It doesn't matter who is the next mayor. You still have the attorney general in there for a few more years. I think he's got 2 or 3 more. His term is for 6. So what'll change? What'll change with the next mayor? It looks like it's going to be Helena. Helena? Yeah, that's who it looks like. But what will really change? Like nothing really. I don't think so. But we'll keep our eyes on the city of New Orleans. We'll just see what happens there. Let's see. Man. It's getting crazy out there. I hope all my New Orleans people are staying well regulated out there. You do have permitless concealed carry, so please practice your Second Amendment rights. Make sure that you get training. Make sure you practice. Make sure you do dry fire training, and make sure you're well regulated. Make sure your gun functions properly. Make sure you can manipulate it if you have a jam. Make sure that you could reload it without looking, maybe. Just do what you need to do to be ready. Because when I lived out there, I was fucking ready for anything. It would have been a bad day for anybody who tried to carjack me, shake me down. It would have been a bad day for somebody. I like to think anyway. All righty, here we go. Derrick Groves, you are the last man standing. 2 months after jailbreak, Derrick Groves remains at large as fellow escapees plead not guilty to charges. Hold on, excuse me for 1 second. A convicted killer with a history of violence remains at large for more than 2 months after he and 9 others escaped from the Orleans Parish Justice Center. They changed the name. It was called the Orleans Parish Prison, OPP. Yeah, you know me. The FBI, Homeland Security, U.S. Marshals, and Louisiana State Police are still actively searching for 28-year-old Derrick Groves. $20,000 reward is being offered for information leading to his capture. Authorities said 10 incarcerated men escaped. Yeah, it's same stuff. I mean, 9 out of 10 have been caught, most of whom stayed in New Orleans after their escape. I think 2 got caught in Texas. Sheriff Hudson suspended and then restarted her election campaign amid the fallout from the situation. New Orleans, please do not forget that this lady still has criminals running around on her watch that escaped from her jail when she asks for your vote. And God, please vote this lady out. Like, it's literally Gotham fucking City over there right now. Search for Derrick Groves. Unlike fellow escapee Antoine Massey, who posted videos online while on the run, Groves has kept a low profile. Yeah. He'd been locked up since 2019. He was involved in 4 fatal shootings in an 18-month period. Last year, he was convicted of killing 2 people with an assault rifle at a 2018 Mardi Gras block party. So if he was convicted, why wasn't he in a prison? New Orleans, you're so gay with that criminal shit, like treating criminals like they're not criminals. If somebody's convicted of murder, a double homicide, Why are you keeping them in the jail? For real. Like, all this criminal justice reform? Now you got to murder a actual convicted murderer. Everybody else was waiting for trial. This guy is actually convicted, and you just letting him chill at the jail? What the fuck? So infuriating. That city could be so awesome. It really could be. You got a quote here. "He's the worst human being I've ever come across in my life," said Forrest Ladd, an Orleans Parish Assistant District Attorney who prosecuted Groves. "But he is very charismatic, and I think that allows him the ability to kind of control people." So is he saying he's the mastermind? Is this guy inferring that Derrick Groves was the mastermind? Or is he inferring that that's why he's not caught yet? Authorities say Dariana Burton, Groves' on and off girlfriend, and former Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office employee, helped him escape. Whoa. I thought the maintenance guy helped him escape. We got to open the link in a new tab for that one. I thought it was all the maintenance guy. This is new news to me. They believe someone else is still helping him. All right. Deputy U.S. Marshal Brian Fair told NOLA.com they're still getting tips from Groves from both in and out of state. Some of the tips seem credible, while others are far-fetched. Yeah, no shit. Some people with survival skills will go camping, basically, for lack of a better term. What? Head off in the wilderness. I don't think Groves is doing that. But if people are letting you stay at their place and you're not coming out much, said Deputy Marshal Fair, ultimately, I think we are going to catch him. We only need to get lucky. Bro, why are you just talking? Why would you keep going? We're going to catch him, but only if we're lucky. More than 90% of people who escape U.S. correctional facilities are recaptured within a year, but the longer they remain at large, the harder they are to find. Yeah. However, Peterson believes Groves will eventually be caught due to all the media attention. What attention? It's pretty much disappeared. I have to go and search these stories out about these escapees. It's already been forgotten about that Susan Hudson restarted her re-election campaign. There you go. The breach has raised some questions about how the men, some charged with violent crimes, were able to escape. Yeah, it does. Like, why is a convicted killer still in jail and not in a state prison? If he would have been sentenced by a court system, he most likely would not have had an opportunity to escape. Earlier, you said he was convicted. Much of the criticism has been directed at the sheriff, the city's first female sheriff, who ran on a progressive platform. Yeah, no shit. We can fucking tell. We can tell that your progressive platform is what you ran on and the effects that it's having on the city. Way to go, Susan Hudson. Your progressive approach, the fucking DA's progressive approach, man, the city, it's just so much better with you guys. Thank you so much for your leadership. Look at how much safer the city is because of you guys. This is fucking crazy. This is nuts. This is nuts. The vulnerabilities have been raised repeatedly in our funding requests. whatever, you get funding, you have funding, and it all disappears. It's all embezzled. It all goes to bullshit. It doesn't go to anything. And that's for any service in the city. Honestly, not just the jail, but this has been the history of the city for decades. Ay. It's time to put up or shut up, because I'm tired of being blamed for not giving money when the sheriff is sitting on its funds and it hasn't explained to the public, said one of the councilmen. Exactly. They have money. They say they need more money. They tell them, but what did you spend the first money on? And they're like, I don't fucking know. Hudson was held in contempt of court for allegedly ignoring a judge's order to transfer arrestees to magistrate court on weekends and holidays. She didn't want to fucking work on the weekends, man. You're going to fucking hold her in contempt for that? It's very progressive to not do your job because it's the weekend. It's one of her policies, actually. All right. Fugitives Girlfriend charged with aiding breakout at New Orleans jail where she once worked. All right. This is from June 9th already. Authorities arrested a former New Orleans jail employee on Monday and accused her of aiding in the 10-inmate breakout. All right. Dariana Burton, she's one of 16 people arrested, accused of aiding the escape of inmates. Authorities say only 2 remain. Okay, that's still old because there's only 1. But 16 people, there are more people arrested for helping the escape than the escape. All right, let's find out what happened. How she helped him. 2 days before the escape, Groves made a FaceTime video call to Burton using a jail-issued iPad. A jail-issued iPad. Are you fucking kidding me? During the call, she helped him speak with a man who police did not identify. The conversation was intentionally vague and appeared to coordinate communication to other unmonitored lines, according to the police affidavit. In another call shortly after, the same man warned Groves against escaping, saying it would be a bad move. It would trigger a manhunt. He told him to seek release via the judicial system. The exchange shows Burton's direct role in helping Groves escape. But Burton faces a felony charge. Burton also allegedly picked up and transferred another fugitive, Lenton Van Buren, to a relative's house. Burton began working at the jail in 2022. She brought a knife and a bag of Cheetos with some weed and some tobacco into the jail. See, you can't even have a fucking corrections officer who's straight there. You're going to fuck around like this, dude. Bring stuff into the jail. She denies any involvement. So what? She got a call on an iPad? That's her charge? In that other story, it made it seem like she was like the mastermind, or like tied a chain to the cell, to the fucking bars on the window, and drove her horse-drawn wagon and pulled the bars off, allowing everybody to escape. You know what I mean? That's what they come across as. Nah, she just had a FaceTime call and might have driven somebody around. But there has been a sighting of Derrick Groves, guys. I don't know if you guys have seen this. There's been a sighting. All right, here we go. Cashier goes viral after people think they've spotted Derrick Groves in disguise. Let's see if we could make this bigger for you guys. Where's that reward at? Where's that reward at, huh? There you go. All jokes aside, people will really throw your life away for a viral moment, said this commenter. That's him. He been hiding in plain sight. He done got a job, moved in, married a hardworking man. Might be him, yo. Yeah, it might be. That's pretty funny. That's not him. This is my coworker, Derricka. She just moved here from a gated community. Oh, man. If that ain't him, they ain't catching him because I know about 30 people who look like her. Oh, that's hilarious. That's his sister, Shaderica. Somebody said Grovira? Grovilla? Damn. Oh, man. Shorty caught a stray just trying to make a living. Damn. Damn. So, had a sighting. This poor lady. This poor lady. All right. Let's get into this next story. We got communist governor puppet Michelle Grisham Lujan, or Lujan Grisham, or whatever the fuck her name is, governor of New Mexico, declaring another state of emergency in crime-ridden county. The move comes just 2 days after President Donald Trump seized control of Washington, D.C.'s police force to combat violent crime in Democrat-run capital. We can listen to this article, apparently. Let's do it.
Democratic governor declares state of emergency in crime-ridden county. Just 2 days after President Donald Trump seized control of Washington, D.C.'s police force to combat violent crime in the Democrat-run capital, New Mexico's Democratic governor on Wednesday declared a state of emergency over rampant violence and drug trafficking in a large swath of her state. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham announced the sweeping emergency declaration in crime-ridden Rio Arriba County, which includes 2 Native American Pueblo communities. The county, which stretches from the city of Española to the Colorado state line, has long struggled with some of the nation's highest opioid overdose death rates. Grisham said that local leaders had pleaded for assistance in tackling the crises and that public safety threats have overwhelmed local resources. When our local leaders called for help to protect their communities, we responded immediately with decisive action, Grisham said in a statement. We are making every resource available to support our local partners on the ground and restore public safety and stability to these areas that have been hardest hit by this crisis. The emergency declaration makes $750,000 available to the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management to coordinate response efforts and provide resources to the communities impacted. Grisham said that a surge in criminal activity has contributed to increased homelessness, family instability, and fatal drug overdoses, placing extraordinary strain on local governments and police departments that have requested immediate state assistance. She said that police calls in Española and surrounding areas have more than doubled in the past 2 years. Police dispatches to businesses in the area have quadrupled in the same period. Rio Arriba County currently has the highest overdose death rate in the state, with residents struggling with addiction to fentanyl and other illicit substances. There were no immediate calls for troop deployments in the county, though the new emergency declaration allows for authorities to call up the National Guard. Emergency funds will help local law enforcement agencies spend on overtime, equipment, and coordinated police responses, a Grisham spokesperson said. The tribal governor of Santa Clara Pueblo on the edge of Española urged the state to address a growing public safety crisis stemming from the use and abuse of fentanyl and alcohol in the community at large. The Pueblo has expended thousands of dollars trying to address this crisis and to protect Pueblo children who are directly and negatively affected by a parent's or guardian's addiction, said Santa Clara Governor James Naranjo in a July letter to Lujan Grisham. But we are not an isolated community, and the causes and effects of fentanyl/alcohol abuse, increased crime, and increased homelessness extend to the wider community. Grisham's emergency declaration comes after she sent the National Guard to Albuquerque in April to address a spike in juvenile crime and fentanyl. The National Guard were tasked with scene security and traffic control, prisoner transport assistance, and other roles that don't involve arrests in order to free up Albuquerque Police Department resources. Wednesday's state of emergency was welcomed by New Mexico Republicans, including Espanola City Councilor Sam Ledoux. I am pleased that the governor is addressing the out-of-control crime in our community, Ledoux said. It has long been overrun and not addressed. Fentanyl has overwhelmed our law enforcement, and this seems to be a step in the right direction to protecting our citizens. New Mexico Republican Party Chairwoman Amy Barella also welcomed the announcement but urged the governor to ensure the deployment results in real change. Republican Party of New Mexico Chairwoman Amy Barella also welcomed the announcement but urged the governor to ensure the deployment results in real change. This community is long overdue in receiving help to combat the out-of-control crime caused by the failed policies of our state leadership, Barella said in a statement. While I hope the deployment of the National Guard will provide real assistance, the people of Espanola deserve more than just street counselors. They deserve action that addresses the root of the problem. Thanks to President Trump's America First policies and his decisive action to secure the border, we have already begun to see crime rates decrease nationally. Now it's time to put New Mexicans first by ensuring those who commit crimes are caught and held accountable. The Associated Press contributed to this report.
Now that's really it, isn't it? You have all this fentanyl coming over the southern border for 4 years straight, unchecked. Just unchecked, just pouring through. And then you have this Democratic governor of a border state, a sovereign state, or not sovereign, a sanctuary state. Sanctuary. It's sanctuary for criminal aliens. We won't report you here. So you have this fentanyl problem coming over the border, but you are against shutting down the border. So you'll just declare state of emergencies and throw the National Guard out there to what? To secure crime scenes? Give me a fucking break, dude. This governor is retarded. She really is. And we voted for her twice somehow. I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's right. She legalized recreational weed. So you can smoke weed. You could go to the weed store and buy it. So, you know what? Fucking let the fentanyl pour through. Let it pour through. Look, a man smokes fentanyl in Espanola. Like, it must be a nice place to smoke, I guess. He's got his little blankie here. And then you got this smug bitch fucking doing nothing. The emergency declaration makes $750,000 available to the Department of Homeland Security to coordinate response efforts. What? A man with a fentanyl pill in Espanola. Drug use in this area triggered the governor to declare a state of emergency. This guy's smoking pills on a piece of foil. You can see he smoked a bunch. He's got to smoke them. Just taking them, it doesn't work anymore. She does nothing to address the actual cause of the problem. Instead says, we're sanctuary. Just keep pouring over. Keep bringing it. Bring the fentanyl that, is the crisis in our community. And we'll just deploy some National Guard to secure the crime scene of the overdose. So fucking stupid. Let's go. What's the difference? National Guard in Albuquerque versus Washington, D.C. That's a good question. I want to know what the difference is too, because here there's nothing going on. They just secure crime scenes. But from what I've seen in Washington, D.C., they're actually fighting crime, which is, if you're going to deploy the National Guard, maybe have them do that.
Before Night Beat.
Overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people, and we're not going to let it happen anymore.
Good evening, New Mexico. Sound familiar? I mean, President Trump says crime and homelessness is so bad in one city, it's time to bring in the National Guard.
And does that sound familiar too? Well, the president is talking about D.C., but the issues he laid out today are almost identical to what has frustrated people in Albuquerque for far too long.
Yeah, we're about 2 months into our own National Guard deployment here in the Duke City to help with the crime problem here. But is the president's plan for the nation's capital different from what we're seeing here? And could there be some clues that maybe Albuquerque is also...
It will be different. You guys know it's already going to be different.
So on his radar.
And that was the assignment for our Monica Logronio today. So Monica, many say there's a big difference between what the Guard is doing here in Albuquerque and what President Trump wants them to do there in D.C. So what do New Mexicans think about the plan that's being carried out these past couple of months here?
Well, honestly, it's kind of just a mixed bag based on the reaction that I got today. So some people are fine with the Guard being here if it's a support role to APD and they're not targeting vulnerable communities. However, others think that the Guard should have more authority.
The vulnerable communities they're talking about are the communities of criminal aliens, by the way.
If you ask a New Mexican on the street what they think about the National Guard being deployed in Albuquerque, you'll get varying opinions.
Adding the National Guard is just putting like a big Band-Aid over it and not really helping anything.
Give them more gear. Give them more help. Hopefully it's used for the right reasons.
Albuquerque police have said the Guard...
Give them more gear, definitely. Give them the ability to actually do the job. Actually, they shouldn't even be here in the first place. They shouldn't be here in the first place. The city's leadership has failed so bad that the National Guard is here guarding crime scenes.
Guard members aren't here to militarize Albuquerque. They're here to support officers.
If they're helping out the officers, then that's honestly perfect, as long as they're not harming the homeless and other stuff.
But others say they don't think it's a long-term solution.
There are like so many different things that need to be addressed individually. I feel like we could have nipped this in the butt like a long time ago, just by like addressing like affordable housing, taking care of like New Mexican residents.
While deployed, the Guard has boundaries.
That's not why they're here.
That's good, and yeah, then as long as they're just not making like the whole community feel threatened, you know.
But other people question how that's helpful to APD.
I think there should be at least detaining. I mean, you know what I mean? Some kind of, because like, what are they going to do? Just say, hey, look, he ran that way. You know what I mean? Then.
That guy knows. That guy gets
so Monica,
it.
there are major differences in opinions, also major differences between what our New Mexico National Guard is doing here in Albuquerque, of course, and then what President Trump wants the Guard to do in D.C.
Yeah, so first, keep in mind, Albuquerque police and city leaders actually requested Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham activate the Guard back in April. APD Chief Harold Medina sent a letter to the governor saying they need help, quote, for ongoing public safety challenges in the city, particularly along Central. Now, those challenges include overall crime, rising juvenile crime, and the fentanyl epidemic. Essentially, the Guard members were asked to support officers in situations tying them up. Now, that includes traffic control, medical emergencies, and monitoring security cameras. Right now, there are 71 Guard members in the Duke City. In D.C., President Trump wants to deploy 800. He says it's to help.
Hold on.
President
so we
Trump-
got traffic control, medical emergencies, monitoring cameras. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. Okay, traffic control. You have police service aides to do that job. Medical emergencies. You have your paramedics for that. Monitoring security cameras. Give some jobs to some people who fucking stared at cameras for a living for a while, like myself, who are good at that job. And, maybe, create some jobs for some people in the city. This is all stuff that the National Guard does not need to be here doing. It's a waste.
wants to deploy 800. He says it's to help with crime and homelessness in the district, saying they'll get rid of the slums. Like Albuquerque, he issued a public safety emergency. But unlike Albuquerque, the president also took command of D.C.'s police department today. A timeline for when Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to take over hasn't been announced yet.
So, Monica, like we talked about earlier, the concerns that the president brought up today for D.C. are a lot of the same problems we know contribute to Albuquerque's crime landscape. Could our city, though, potentially be on his radar?
Well, Trevor, experts say that's more than likely. KOB4 spoke to a local constitutional law professor at UNM earlier today. He believes New Mexicans should not be surprised if the Trump administration tries to intervene more in our state, given something that just happened last week.
Albuquerque was placed on this list of sanctuary cities, which makes it
There it
more
is.
likely that we can see a replay of what happened in Los Angeles with the federalized guard here.
We did reach out to both Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham and Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller about the similarities and differences with the National Guard mission here compared to the president's plan for D.C. We have their joint statement with this story on KOB.com.
Monica, a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. In fact, we're not even done talking about the National Guard because in the meantime, House Republicans presented the National Guard with this certificate today, commending them for their work in supporting APD.
Just letting them know that we do appreciate them being there and hopefully helping to.
Now we're glazing them for. Look, I get that they're just doing their job, but they were activated. They're just doing what they're ordered to do. But at some point, they got to realize that they're not really doing anything. All right, where's this joint statement? All right, we got a joint statement from the New Mexico governor and Mayor Tim Keller. Here we go. Once again, President Trump is making unilateral decisions that appear politically motivated rather than focusing on building appropriate responses to public safety challenges and strengthening communities. His deployment of 800 National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. without local request or coordination demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of effective public safety strategy. President Trump's massive executive overreach in Washington sets a dangerous precedent and undermines safety in our nation's capital. Here in New Mexico, we are addressing public safety challenges by bringing local and state resources together to make our communities safer. This frees our trained police officers to excuse me. This frees our trained police officers to focus on proactive community-centered policing and combating the fentanyl crisis and rising violent juvenile crime, while our National Guard provides scene security, medical aid, and prisoner transport without weapons or law enforcement functionality. Man. At a time when we don't have sufficient police officers anywhere in the country, including here in New Mexico, this collaborative approach creates the right kind of support system that enables local law enforcement to keep our communities safer and effectively address crime. President Trump is attempting to use the National Guard as a city police force in a similar manner he used the military in California, which is about politics, not fighting crime. The contrast couldn't be clearer. While President Trump uses the National Guard to trample local leadership, New Mexico brings together local and state governments to make our communities genuinely safer. As a result, we are maintaining momentum and reducing crime throughout the summer months. President Trump's unilateral actions in Washington, D.C. do nothing to keep Americans safe and show an alarming contempt for our laws and democratic norms. Let's unpack this. So Trump is making unilateral decisions that are politically motivated, maybe a little, but also they claim that his deployment of 800 National Guard troops without local request is a fundamental misunderstanding of effective public safety strategy, and they're claiming it's overreach. It's not. Washington, D.C. is a federalized district. President Trump ultimately has control of the Washington, D.C. National Guard. So they don't know about federal policy, I guess, which they should since they're making a comment on it. Maybe read up on it a little bit first, unless they're trying to gaslight you, right? Let's see. They're combating the fentanyl crisis and rising violent crime. You know what they could do to do that is get rid of the criminal aliens that are in the state. He's attempting to use the National Guard as the city's police force. He's not. He was using the FBI, the marshals, the DEA. He was using all the other federal police forces as the police force. They have videos of them going around and enforcing the law. I didn't see the National Guard doing that. New Mexico brings local and state government to make our community generally safer. Okay, so how is the National Guard being deployed in Albuquerque to guard crime scenes, making the community safer? Genuinely, I want to know. I really do. We are maintaining momentum and reducing crime throughout the summer months. Are you, though? Because it's been coming out that a lot of these Democratic cities have been cooking the books on their violent crime numbers. And I'm willing to bet that Albuquerque is one of them that's been doing it. Washington, D.C. has already been proven that they've been doing it. I'm sure New Orleans has been doing it because that place is just a fucking shithole. We got this flashback 2 years ago. The mayor of D.C. publicly asked Congress to let him use the National Guard.
Muriel Bowser announced her Safer, Stronger anti-crime legislation. So this morning, she went to Capitol Hill to testify before the House Oversight Committee about crime in the district and ways.
Is that guy wearing a do-rag?
Access to firearms is a national problem, and we need common sense gun reform. We also need this Congress to give the mayor control of the D.C. National Guard. We welcome your partnerships or non-public safety initiatives as well.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser announced her Safer, Stronger anti-crime legislation. So this morning, she went to Capitol Hill.
So it's okay for the Democrats to want National Guard troops, but when Trump does it, he's a Nazi, you know. How come communist puppet Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham isn't a Nazi? You know, she did the exact same thing. She's actually doing it. He hasn't done it yet. He just activated them. They're not doing it yet. The Democrats have no standards, but double standards. Yep. DC is quite literally under federal jurisdiction at the seat of the federal government. It shouldn't even have a mayor. You are absolutely right. There shouldn't even be people living there, honestly. Like it's not a city where people should be living, especially like to the point where you have homeless people. That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, guys, I think it's about time to wrap this thing up with a bow on top, as they say. We got one last thing for you guys. So this is a pretty crazy thing. I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments. So this is a shooting of a man in a wheelchair. You guys probably seen this. So this is just one that I picked up. We'll make it big. We got the audio. All right, let's go, guys. Let's go. Let me know what you guys think. This one's kind of rough.
your ID. Pull a fucking gun on me. Show me your ID. Pull a fucking gun on me. Pull a fucking gun on me. Put it away, sir. It's all right, everybody. I apologize. Pull a gun on me. I don't care if you pull a gun on me. We're not friends. Right!
Damn, that was hard to watch. That guy, that was not a self-defense. I mean, this guy's gun is still in the holster. You can see that here. It's still in the holster. He can't get his finger on the trigger. If this guy, he had plenty of time to run away. Plenty of time. It took him like an hour and a half to fucking get that gun out of that backpack. And what was he mad about? What was he so mad about? Apparently, he claimed that this guy was stolen valor. He's harassing him. The guy was trying to get him to fucking leave him alone. Tried to, it looked like, you know, scare him away. He didn't know that fucking this guy had a gun. Ay. So apparently the guy who pulled the trigger, he's like, you know, the reason why you haven't heard about this story, you would think it would have blown up big because you have a white guy with a gun shooting an innocent black guy, right? That'd be a big story. Big anti-gun. Let's get rid of the guns. This is the perfect reason why we don't need guns. This guy's a Nazi and he killed a black guy. Nah, this story hasn't been anywhere. You know why? Because this white guy that killed the black guy, he's a lefty. He's on the team. He's on the anti-gun team. He was arrested for running his car through like a Trump thing. It was like a tent, an organization tent, and it was a Trump-aligned situation, and he ran his car through it. That's why you're not seeing this story, because he's one of them. He's one of the anti-gun lefties. Plugging some black dude, an innocent guy, just plugged him. Boom. It's okay. It's okay. I put down the threat. The guy's in a fucking wheelchair. His gun wasn't even real. That's not an excuse. Pull a toy gun on me and I don't know it's real. You're getting put down. However, this guy's gun was still in his holster. The guy had an hour and a half to run away. He was the one picking the fight in the first place. And he's a lefty. That's why the story is nowhere. Come on. White guy shoots a black guy. This should be everywhere in public. Look at this. Look at all these witnesses. But you don't, because of this guy, because of who he is. Everybody's got an agenda to push, guys, including myself. My agenda is America first and stay well regulated. You got to start putting this country first. And we got to stop letting crazy people out of jail for no reason. You know what I mean? I want to thank everybody for joining me on my first live, well-regulated podcast. It's been fun. I definitely enjoyed myself on this one. I want to thank everybody who watched live. Looks like we still got 4 people here, so thank everybody. I want to thank you all. Remember, everybody, it's a crazy one out there, so remember to stay well regulated, especially all my New Orleans people. It's fucking Gotham City over there. Stay well regulated. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Here's the song.